Hello, this is a quick demo of how to use the offline data logging of the GoGoboard. So let's get started. You access this functionality through the Data Lab. So when you go into the Data Lab, typically you would see the cloud-based version of the GoGoboard Data Lab, but you would see that there's a new tab on top that says Offline. Right? So you click on the Offline button, and you will see two buttons. One is to configure the GoGoboard, like what sensors are connected to it, what's the interval that you want. And then the second button is the import data once you've finished doing the data logging part. So let's take a look at them one by one. So in configuration, when you click, you can choose what sensors you want to use with the GoGoboard. So there are basically two locations, two types of sensors that you can use. One is the digital sensors, which you will connect through the multi-port. Right? So the multi-port is the marked in red here. And then there are also analog inputs that are the white ports that you see on the bottom. There are 4 ports here. Okay, so right now I have a couple sensors connected through the GoGoboard. Let's see how they work. So for the multi-port, I press the plus button here. There will be a selection of sensors that you can use. So right now, in the GoGoboard, I have the first one connected. So you can see from here that the multi-port here, the color of this board is wrong. The latest board has this port marked as purple. Anyway, so I have this sensor, right, the temperature and humidity sensor connected to the multi-port. So when I configure, I just choose the value that I want to read from it. Now you can see that some sensors has only one value that you can read from, and some sensors has multiple values that you can use. So this sensor that we have connected is the SHT35. So they have temperature, humidity, and dew point that you can read from. So right now I'm going to add temperature, and then I'm going to add humidity as well. All right, so that's how you configure the digital sensors. If you want to use more than one sensor, you will need the add-on board that expands the multi-port, so you can have multi-ports to plug in the sensors. All right, so for analog input, right now, if you look, I have a lever switch connected to sensor port 1. So I will configure port 1 by clicking on it. It'll have a list for me to choose what sensor is connected. I choose the lever, and that's it. Now, the last thing you need to do is the log interval. By default, it's 10 seconds. You click on the pencil here, and there are a couple presets that you can choose from. Right now, I'm going to use 1 second, and then I'm done. So the last thing you have to do is just press configure. So right now I press, it will configure the board, it will show success. Okay, so now you can start your data logging, right? So the code is already set up here. All you need to do is to press the start button. And so I'll show you how that works. Press start, and what's shown on the screen right now is the number of records that are available on the board. So you see that we set the interval to 1 second, so it's going to climb from, the number is going to increase every second. And I'm going to just try to create some changes. I'm going to press the lever button as well, so we can see that in the graph later on. The temperature sensor might not change a lot. Let's put my finger on it. In the actual version that we will ship, it will show the sensor readings of the sensors that we configured on this screen as well. So this is just a placeholder. It only shows the number of records. All right, so 43 records, that's good. We're going to stop right now, and then I'm going to come back here, and then we go back one screen and then press import. So when you press import, it will automatically import the data that you have. Right now you see there's temperature, humidity, and lever. This is an auto scale. So lever, when you press, unfortunately, it goes to 1000. So that's why the other values are sort of like on the bottom there. If I hide the lever button, you can see the other sensors, the values better. So you can see that this orange line is humidity. Humidity level is around 43, and temperature right now is around 26. Okay, and so if you're happy with this data, right, what you can do is you can press this hamburger button and then download it as a PDF, a CSV, or Excel file. But sometimes there's a problem with the data. For example, in this graph, you will see that the dates, there are some data points that starts in 1970, and that's an indication that there are periods where the board has lost its clock value, right? Maybe like you just resetted it and it hasn't initialized the date yet. So if that happens, we have a utility down below that shows the different chunks of data that is being stored on the board. So you can see right now there are three chunks stored on the GoGoboard. And you can see that the first chunk, the date and time seems to be okay. The second chunk is 1970. So this is the chunk with only 78 records that has a problem. And then the last chunk is to 2024, which is correct. So we can see that the second chunk is the one that has the wrong time. So you can either delete this chunk if you think it's unusable, or you can adjust the time. We don't have that function available right now, but it will be done soon. Anyways, if you adjust everything, you should see the combined graph up here. And if it looks good to you, you can just export it. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this chunk that has the wrong date. So let's see what happens. So when you go back, you will see that, okay, so now we don't have 1970 anymore. We just have 9 o'clock till 10 something today. So this looks like a good data. I will choose export it as an Excel file, and then I'm good to go. All right, so that's how you use the offline data logging functionality.